Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rowling. Do you believe you are capable of choosing your future? Sometimes it takes just one person to believe in you, or you to believe in yourself. If you find yourself continuing to say, someday I will take better care of myself, only to continue living the same day over and over and over again, then you, my friend, are in the right place. I am your biggest cheerleader, inspiring you to become you on purpose and with intention. Are you ready to create a life you love? I'm excited to share with you some big ideas that you can use today to inspire, impact, and influence your life and everyone in it. The Becoming You show starts now. Hello, my friends. How are you? Guess what? It's my birthday. And I was thinking that I was just going to pre-record this one for you, as to not really do it on my birthday. And then I thought, heck no, I want to share with you what's on my mind this day, my birthday. And as I was thinking about what I wanted this podcast to be about and what this conversation was going to be about, I thought about this letter that I kind of wrote last week around the 50 things that I've learned so far along the way. And so I thought for this milestone birthday, we could reflect on the 50 life-changing, truly life-changing and life-saving truths that I've learned in what I like to call this first chapter of my life. These are some of the most invaluable lessons that truly have shaped my thinking, that have influenced how I show up in the world, that has guided me through both challenges and triumphs. These truths have truly been a gift to me, and I hope that they can be a gift to you as well. I am well aware that you may find some of them to be offensive. You may not like them. You may reject them altogether, and that is okay because they're mine. And I invite you to take the ones that you want to see how they play out in your world as you grow and we grow together into new versions and evolutions of ourselves. And the ones that you don't, you can completely discount. Now, I'm not suggesting that I'm going to get through all 50 because they're right here. I'm not suggesting that I'm going to get through all 50 today. And what I might do, if you're interested, is I might put them in like a document and, upload them to my socials or something like that. Or you know how to reach me, right? You can just email me and I will flip the rest of them to you. But I'm going to get through as many as I possibly can because, like I mentioned, these have been transformational in how I have gone from my 20s to my 30s to my 40s and now today, the very first day of my 50th year. And so as I was thinking about them, I went back to, college days and in my 20s and lessons that I learned. And these are in no particular order, not by decade, not by impact necessarily, but they're just ones that I was just, as I was writing, I just wrote. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay. Being me has required a tremendous amount of authenticity. Being me has invited me to stop the people pleasing, to stop the pretending, right? Being true to myself is the foundation of my happiness. When I try to be too pleasing, when I try to be too perfect, when I try to pretend to keep peace for everybody else's benefit, I become bitter, not better. So this for me is a continued belief. It's a continued truth that I have to anchor to in order to believe that I don't need to be anybody different for anyone else. I need to be me for me. So that's the first one. The second one is glass half full. Always. I got this one from my mom. There is always a silver lining, always. And I effort to find that in myself. I effort to find the delicate condition in everyone else. This type of mentality really transforms, for me, challenges into opportunities. I use the adversity in my life, not as a liability, not like we were taught, but as an asset in my life to help me get stronger, to help me become smarter, to help me become a, a, a more valuable version of myself for myself. This isn't toxic positivity. It's accepting reality as it is and then inviting myself into the strength and the courage required to navigate it and invite my best self into it. Versus what happens when we don't do this is we deflect the blame and we become disempowered in the life is not fair game. It doesn't happen for me. Everybody has it better than I do. This isn't possible for me. That is not my type of thinking. I do not indulge in that type of thinking. I embrace all of it. I'm here for all of it. Bring it on. Let's go. Okay? So that's number 2. Number 3, what I appreciate appreciates. Gratitude is key. And I know you've heard this, and I know it can be like this worn out song, but daily gratitude practices enhance my perspective on life. Celebrating and integrating the wins is required, friends, to feel full in my days. Listen, life gives us plenty to be disenchanted by, okay? We also have a brain that is not on the lookout for the magic. It's not on the lookout for the beauty in the day. It's looking for danger. It's looking for all the ways things can go wrong, all the ways that your life could have, should have been different, all the ways that other people in your life could have, should have been different. Gratitude requires a level of consciousness that sees beyond all the shoulds, right? That sees beyond all of the brain's way of keeping you safe. I believe that this is the consciousness that is required to live a life that is full. Being honest, right? It's a lost art. And most of us would say that we're honest. I would say that as a people pleaser and a pretender, right? I would say that I was incredibly honest. But people pleasing and pretending is the opposite of being honest. We think that if we're truly honest, we think that in telling the truth, that that it's going to be mean, that it's going to come out mean. And what I'll offer to that is, oh, that's not honesty, right? That lacks discernment from judgment. The truth, honesty never hurts. It's always the kindest thing, right? And you've heard me share this so many times on every single conversation. Honesty looks like, hey, this is me being vulnerable in my truth. This is me and how I feel. And yet I'm also acknowledging you and how you might feel and us in our relationship. That is telling the truth. That is being honest. What isn't honest is trying to be somebody that you're not in order to gain favor in hopes that maybe you can like yourself. That's not being honest. What else isn't being honest is not sitting with how you truly feel and having that discernment for what is and your judgment, right? That's our work that we get to do. If we don't do that work, we're never going to we'll never be able to invite ourselves forward in a conversation that is grounded in the truth. Okay? The next one, never stop learning, right? I truly believe that my life is my curriculum. That's why when I say adversity is an asset, I mean it. I believe, and you've heard me say this before, I believe that life is 50-50. Life is 50% awesome and it's 50% awful and it's 50% terrific and it's 50% terrible on purpose. Nothing has gone wrong. There is a balance to the universe. There's a balance of polarity. There is not good without bad. There is not ease without hard. And when we do not accept that, we double down on the bad, making it worse. I like to think of my life, all of it, the 50-50 of it, is all for my growth. When I can lean into adversity as the asset that it is, as the gift that it is, I grow, I evolve myself. When I resist it and blame it away, I lose the gift. I lose that very opportunity to learn something new about myself, to discover a strength that I didn't even know I had. And it's so important that when we are dealing with struggle, when we're dealing with adversity, that we know in advance how we're going to show up in it. How am I going to show up in adversity? It's coming. It's coming. I don't know if you've seen this. No one is without it. But how are you going to show up in it? I love being able to take any adverse situation, any struggle, any obstacle, and invite the best of me to the situation, right? I understand that learning is the foundation of all of my exploration. And in this next season of life, I'm going to create more of it. I'm going to invite myself to create more than I consume. As I was writing this, I was thinking, how can I learn more in this next decade of my life? And that's what I came up with. Okay, next one, resiliency. Resiliency is a character trait that I admire so much in both myself and in others. It is so important that we understand that when we do not allow for a resilient mindset, what will happen is that we will become resistant to it. Resistancy is the opposite of resilience. Resistancy is shooting on life. We're resistant. We don't accept what is. Resiliency is that embracing of life. It is like I mentioned, it is a trait that I admire, that I find in other people, and it is a practice that I will continue to navigate and embrace. Okay, self-care. A top 50 would not be complete without self-care. Self-care is non-negotiable. It just is. And I was going to maybe even put this one first. Care of my mind, care of my body, care of my spirit, care of the people that I hang around with. It is not selfish, right? It is selfish to not do it for yourself and then to blame other people for not caring for you the way that you need. When you get good at self-care for you, you won't need anyone to take care of you because you will do it for yourself. If you find yourself, when my clients offer to me that they're a little bitter, that they're a little bit more on edge, that they're a little bit more frustrated with things that normally they wouldn't be frustrated with, that is my question. That is my go-to question. How are you neglecting you? Because if you weren't neglecting you in the way that you probably have been neglecting you, these little things wouldn't create the bitterness that resides within you, right? If you're taking care of you, if you are giving yourself permission to matter, to take up space in this world, all the other little things don't matter as much. They don't matter as much. So it is a gift to give yourself. It's non-negotiable. Make that a practice for yourself today, right? Have it be my birthday gift, right? Like I'm gonna do self-care because I'm going to give that away to Leah for her birthday. Okay. All right. Leadership starts within. It starts within. Leading myself effectively sets the tone for leading others. The way you lead your life is the way you lead others. I want you to pause and I want you to think about that. How are you leading your life? That is how you lead others. When we don't know this, right? We try to get our life back on track by trying to control others, by trying to manipulate others, by trying to get them to think a certain way, to feel a certain way, to show up in a certain way. It does not work. It is an exercise in futility, and it robs you of your uniqueness. Leading within allows you to tap into that innate wisdom, that innate strength, that innate knowing that too many of us dismiss, discount for everybody else's advice. And then we're so confused by the amount of information that we're getting that we even feel more behind. Too many people are looking outside of themselves for the truth. They're looking outside of themselves for the answer. They're looking to a blueprint. They're looking to a strategy. They're looking for a how-to manual about their life. And it doesn't exist out of yourself. It exists within. So that's what I'll say about that one. Emotional maturity matters. Friends, EQ, emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, whatever you like to call it, matters. Emotional maturity is owning your emotions. It's first understanding what emotions are. Emotions are vibrations in your body created by your mind. Nothing you experience do you experience outside of yourself. When we do not know this, we blame other people for our feelings. We blame other situations for our feelings. We blame circumstances for our feelings. We disempower ourselves in situations. We become blindsided that things have happened to us. When you do not take credit for your frustration, when you do not take credit for your annoyance, when you do not take credit for your anger, and you blame it away, and I can say this is my show, but if you listen to me enough, you know that it's coming from tremendous amount of love. When you do that, when you blame other people for the way you feel, it is immature. It is immature. It is toddler-like. That's what we do. That's what we did when we were 2 years old and we wanted food or we wanted our sippy cup. So we threw it across the room. Okay. We need to be responsible for our feelings. We need to be responsible for our thoughts. We need to be responsible for how we show up in the world as adults. As adults, this also is a non-negotiable. So if you find yourself continuing to blame other people for how you feel, if you continue, or if you just continue to dismiss how you feel, right? And sweep it under the rug or put it in a box in your garage, or you buffer by way of overeating, over drinking, overworking, over social media-ing, over shopping. If you find yourself doing that, that is also immature. And I love you. And we all do it. But we have to be aware of when we're doing it. And we need to bring ourselves back into a conscious, mature adult mind. And a lot of people need support with this. A lot of people have mentors and coaches to help them tap in to their own innate strengths, their own innate maturities. And one of those innate strengths and one of those innate maturities is owning your feelings and managing your mind. The skill of doing both of those things well is your superpower. The skill of not doing those things well will keep you smaller, will keep you stuck, and will slow down the progress that you deserve in your life. Okay. I could talk about that for days. All right. The next one, empathy matters. Empathy matters. What do I mean by that? Truly listening and empathizing with others creates strong bonds. It creates a deeper level of connection. Empathy, okay, is having the emotional maturity that I just talked about, okay? It's understanding that everyone creates their experiences, okay? But it has compassion and curiosity along with it to help them feel heard, to help them feel validated and listened to as they navigate what they're navigating for themselves. Empathy, friends, is not shouldering other people's emotions. It's not. It's not being disappointed because they're disappointed, right? It's not being mad because they're mad. That is not empathy. That's mirroring. That's mirroring, and rarely is it helpful. Rarely is it helpful. When we become disappointed and mad that our kids are disappointed and mad, we do not hold good space for them. We do not hold good space for them to navigate the truth for themselves, because now guess what? Now they're worried that we are mad and disappointed. So sometimes, and I don't know if you've noticed this, when you are mirroring other people's emotions, whether it's sad or disappointed or upset or angry, and then you start being angry, sad, and upset, you think that because they no longer are mad or upset, that you are helping them. You're not helping them. Basically, what they just did is they just stopped feeling altogether so that you would stop feeling altogether. And now we've got two people that are not allowing each other to feel, not allowing the one person to hold space, and not giving the gift of allowing other people to feel whatever it is that they need to feel. Okay. Courage. Courage. Having courage to take risks daily. Okay. It is a daily practice. Inviting myself to step out of my comfort zone. Ooh, friends, this is a hard one for me. It's not something that my brain willingly has me do. Right. And as I was thinking about this, I'm like, where did I lose my courage? Because when you're little, when you're young, you have the courage to say what you want to say. You have the courage to do what you want to do, right? And some point in time, somebody made a comment, somebody had an opinion of you, somebody said that you were too loud, you talk too much, that, you should keep it to yourself, that nobody cares, and you listen to them. That's what came up for me. When I asked myself, I was writing all these truths out for myself. I was like, where did I lose my courage? And that'll be a podcast for another day. Actually, I'm going to write that down because otherwise I'll forget, because I got a lot of fun birthday things. Where did I lose my courage? Maybe you write that down. Where did you lose your courage? That's going to be a podcast. It might not be the next one, but it's going to be one, because I think it's really important, because when we can identify where we lost it, we can get it back. And I know exactly where I lost it. And I don't have time because I want to kind of keep running through these, but I lost it. And now I know what I need to do to get it back. And for me, it's not letting other people's opinions affect me. It's not letting myself see myself through the lens of other people's eyes. That's how I get it back. Okay. The next one, failing forward. Now, I know. People have said this and people use this, and yet, for me, it is the most empowering way for me to think about failing, because as a student, when you're in academia, okay, failing is not good, right? You don't want F's, right? And I really prided myself on getting A's, straight A's. I was a straight A student. So there was no tolerance for B's. There was no tolerance for C's, D's, and God forbid, there was no tolerance for F's. So for me, when people are like, no, failing's the way, failing, you should fail, you should fail, you should get good at failing, I had to reframe it. And this one I heard, and I don't know who said it, but they invited us to think about failing as failing forward, right? Each failure is a step towards success. You fail and you learn, right? You've also probably heard failing isn't failing, it's learning, right? All failure is just a learning opportunity, just like adversity. Every single negative emotion is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to, as I mentioned, become a more valuable person to yourself and then to others. So I am not interested in being scared to fail. I'm more interested in being scared not failing. I want to try to fail many, many times in my 50s. I want to fail way more in my 50s than I did collectively in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. I know that that's a weird goal. I know that most people don't have that goal on their vision board, but I do. I want to fail a crap ton more than I did in all my decades prior. I'm going to give you one more, because I want to end with this one. Living a purpose-driven life is knowing that I'm the purpose. I'm the purpose. For decades of my life, in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, if you know my story, I sought my purpose outside of myself. I thought that if I was prettier, smarter, more athletic, that my dad would come back and he would want to be part of my life. And the mere fact that he didn't come back, the mere fact that he actually passed away one day before my 32nd birthday, I had to find worth within myself without having him coming back into my life to give me that. I am the purpose. You are the purpose. I exist. You exist, period. That is the purpose. The purpose is my life. And now I get to choose how I want to live it, how I want to show up for it. And I get to challenge myself to consistently grow into the capacity of it. And that is what I'm super excited to do today, in the first day of my 50s, and for the rest of my life. But I'm gonna make this decade the best decade yet. So wherever you are in your life, whatever decade you're navigating, whatever year of life you're navigating, can you commit to making it the best? Can you commit to yourself with self-care practices? Can you be courageous enough to want to fail on purpose and to remind yourself daily that you do not need to find purpose outside of you? You are the purpose. You exist. And you, my beautiful friend, are enough. Until next time, take care. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rowling, where I share big ideas to inspire, impact, and influence your life. Tune in every Friday at 11 Central on transformationtalkradio.com for your morning cup of coffee, the hug you never want to end, and that inspirational message that you felt was written just for you. Each show is inspiring you to become you with purpose and intention. For more information or to connect with me, visit www.leahrowling.com.